I felt like I had been in a prison of my own making my entire life, and I had just found the keys to release myself from prison. I remember looking into my oval white mirror on my bureau and saying, "You are a life coach as of today." I was a single mom going through a divorce, no Instagram following. This business has been built completely organically, from scratch, from nothing. Nobody knew who I was. I just picked up my phone and started talking. And then after months of no progress, no sales, me sitting on the bathroom floor crying, and then I started signing clients, and they're like, "You show up online so authentically. You're just like a real person. You are the safest bet that you could possibly make. And you are going to blow your mind with what happens when you decide to believe that's true and take action from that place." All right? Hello, my beautiful icons, and welcome to the Audacity podcast with me, your host, Sarah Plowman. And I really struggled with what I wanted to talk to you about today because there is so much going on in my life, so many epic, iconic shifts and wins and things that I want to share with you, things that I want to teach you, things that I want to cry with you about. So I really struggled to decide what to talk about first. It's fun when you're really connected to your creative flow, but it can also feel a little bit uncomfortable and overwhelming because you have so many good ideas. So I'm just taking a deep breath. I sat here in my chair before I turned my mic on, and I just asked myself my opinion. Sarah, what do you want to talk about today? And there's time to get to all of the ideas. What your audience is meant to hear is not going to miss them. What you are meant to teach, to convey to them, to talk about, it's all going to get said. We don't need to say it all today in this moment. So I just asked myself, what do you want to talk about today? And the answer came to me immediately. So I took a deep breath and I hit record, and here we are. So I'm gearing up to throw the most epic party. I'm actually gearing up to throw a couple of parties, virtually and in person. One is my next masterclass, which is so much more than a masterclass. It's the biggest scale virtual event that I've ever thrown in my business. I'm so excited about it. It's called Money Mode Activated, and it is a 15-day experience where I'm going to help you and teach you on manifestation, shifting your self-concept, specific mindsets and strategies that help you make money in your business, feel in control of making money in your business, and not just like enough money, not just okay money, but more money than you know what to do with. Because the number one thing, one of the top things that I see holds entrepreneurs and online coaches back from really showing up powerfully in their business is that they don't feel like they have control over it. They're like, yeah, I can show up and I can make offers and I can send out invitations and I can host classes, but I don't know if any of it's going to work. I don't know if any of it is going to result in me actually getting paid. And so they end up shrinking back, not taking action, maybe even going and getting another job because they want that stability. They want that predictability. They want that feeling of control and empowerment that they know how to make money. And when I understood how to make that decision, how to feel in control of my financial results in my business, even when I didn't know exactly who my next client was going to be or when they were going to come, everything changed for me. I started making so much more money and so much more money quickly. So I want you to imagine what that would feel like if you were sitting at home, sitting in your room right now, and you're like, you know what? I want to go make $50,000. I want to go make $100,000. And you just picked up your phone and made the offer and made that much money. You just decided, and you knew that once you decided, it was as good as done. I want you to imagine what that would feel like. That is how I feel in my business. I feel in complete control of making money as an entrepreneur, as an online coach. And that's what I want to shift for you inside this 2-week experience. Plus, it's just going to be so fun. So in today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to talk to you about one of the things I'll be teaching you inside Money Mode Activated, which is shifting your self-concept and being absolutely delusional, being so sold on your reality before it's reflected in the 3D world. And I have a really fun story from this weekend. illustrating this. So I'm going to share that with you today. But before I do, I also mentioned to you that I'm going to be throwing a couple of parties. So the first one is the virtual party of Money Mode Activated. And the next thing after that is a party to celebrate Sarah Plowman coaching crossing the $1 million mark. Now, the day that I'm recording this, it's June 10th, 2025. I am exactly $2,000 away from crossing $1 million cash collected in my business since I started making offers in January of 2021. I have known this milestone was coming up for a while, right? I've been tracking. I'm very good at tracking my money from optimal angles, from all different angles. And this is what I teach my clients to do too. So I look at how much money I make every month, every quarter, every year to date, the last 12 months rolling, and all time. Because when you look at your money from multiple angles, there's always something to celebrate. And it's evidence for you that you've already done the thing that you want to do, right? So I'll give you an example of this. I want to make $1 million in a year. That's my next big money goal. I want to make $1 million in a year. The most I've ever made in 1 year is $400,000. I've never made more than $400,000 in a year. And $400,000 is less than half of $1 million. So our brains, which are often focused on the negative and on the gap, on the distance of like how far away we are from what we want to create, it would be really easy for my brain to be like, oh my God, we're not even close. Like that's the most you've ever done. And it wasn't even last year, it was 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, you had your highest ever cash year, and now you're going to more than double it. Your brain can be pretty like, it's a naysayer, right? It's constantly wanting to raise red flags and give you all of the reasons why you can't do what you want to do. But when I track my money since I started, I see that I have created $1 million. So rather than listening to my brain when it says you want to do something that you've never done before, I get to counter with, oh, I have done it before. I've made $1 million. I'm not asking myself to do something I've never done before. I have done it before. Who cares that it took me 4.5 years? And yeah, that was longer than I wanted it to take. And I've seen many coaches do it way faster than me. I also don't let myself get caught up in that. I believe that my story is perfect. And I was always going to take 4.5 years to make $1 million cash. And that is perfect. And I am madly in love with my story. So I look at the fact that I have done this. I have made $1 million cash. So now I can tell my brain, we've done this already, let's go do it again. Instead of being like, oh, I'm asking myself to do something I've never done before, I'm saying, oh, you've done this before, just do it again. If you did it in 4.5 years, can you do it in half the time? Can you do it in the quarter of the time? Can you do it in a month? And I just keep asking myself that question. What would that be like? What would that be like to do something I've already done, but to do it faster and to do it better? And I guarantee you, you have examples from your life of something you used to suck at that you're really good at now. I remember all these TikToks when the pandemic was happening and people were documenting their journey of getting better at a skill, like jumping rope or roller skating. I love roller skating. So those were some of my favorite videos. I loved watching these skaters like fall over and over and over again. And then they keep practicing, they show the progression. And then all of a sudden they're like skating backwards and spinning and doing all these crazy things. I love it. And making money is no different. This is what I want you to know. Listen to me when I say this. Making money as an online coach is a skill. And it doesn't matter how much you suck at it now, you can and will get better at it if you keep practicing. And you can and will get better at it much faster when you come work with me, because I've spent the last 4.5 years getting really good at making money as someone with no sales and marketing background. When I started my business, I was a single mom going through a divorce with no Instagram following. This business has been built completely organically from scratch, from nothing. Nobody knew who I was. I just picked up my phone and started talking. I started documenting my healing journey, and then I started making offers to help other women do the same. And then that took off after months of what felt like stagnation, no progress, no sales, no nothing, frustration, me sitting on the bathroom floor crying. And then I started signing clients, and then other coaches started coming to me and they're like, you show up online so authentically. You're just like a real person. And I would love to show up online that way too. And I eventually niched down to business coaching, to helping other women grow their online coaching businesses. But at the heart of what I do is helping you to show up authentically. and to create results that once seemed so insane and so delusional to you, make those results absolutely inevitable. That is my job. My job is to help you be honest with yourself about what you want, no matter how crazy and delusional it sounds to you or anybody else, and then give it to yourself. That is why I'm here, my friends. And I am my own first and toughest client, but I knew I wanted $1 million. I knew I wanted to have global impact. I knew I wanted to help women show up more authentically. And that is what I have given to myself. So get yourself inside Money Mode Activated. It is a 2-week life-changing experience journey that we're going to go on, a movement, and we need you there. I'm like throwing my hands around. I'm like whacking things here. We need you there. We need your energy in the room. A rising tide lifts all boats, and your belief and your willingness to take up space is going to expand the room. I will be there. There are almost 20 other women who have already signed up. We have a whole nother week to go. So come on in. It's only $15. Tell your business bestie, like bring your friends. I want this movement to have a profound ripple effect out into the world. And that is going to come from you. And I guarantee you that your brain and your bank account will not be the same after this experience. We're going to turn ourselves into alchemists. I want you to take your $15 and you're going to invest it into yourself. And we are going to see over those 15 days together what we can turn that $15 into. 1,500, 15,000, 150,000. You're in pure fuck around and find out energy in this 2 weeks. And here's what I know, that your results are going to blow your mind. And it is impossible for you to come experience those 2 weeks with me and all of the other incredible women inside without being forever changed. All right. So the link is in my Instagram stories. It's all over the place. It's in the show notes for this podcast episode on YouTube, wherever you're listening to your podcast. Get yourself inside. If you, for whatever reason, cannot find it, send me a DM, send me an email at info@sarahplowmancoaching.com. Get your $15 ticket. I price this to be an absolute no-brainer. It is $1 a day. Get your $15 ticket to Money Mode Activated. Okay, and I promise you I'm going to get to the story of what happened this weekend. But before I do, I want you to notice how I just opened up this podcast by selling to you. And I want you to notice what your experience was of that and my energy. Do you hear my shout it from the rooftops energy? This does not feel like selling to me. I am simply talking about something that I am so passionate about that I can't help myself. It's almost like I can't even, I couldn't stop myself if I wanted to. I believe so deeply. I'm so convicted in what is possible for you and that I can help you that I have to tell you about this offer. It's like I'm throwing a party. And in fact, I used that language. MMA is a party that I'm throwing. And it's the hottest ticket in town. And of course you want an invitation. What you do with that invitation is none of my business. There are some people who are going to hear this and they're going to be like, I don't want to come. I'm not interested. I understand that. But there are going to be plenty of people who hear my invitation and they're like, thank you for inviting me to the party. Thank you for taking my $15. And your people are no different. There are people who will scramble for their wallets. They cannot wait to pay you. They are so grateful to pay you. And I have experienced this not just at the $15 level. I chose to price this. Like I wanted to make it basically free. It's like such a no-brainer price. But I've also experienced this from people who pay me tens of thousands of dollars, $100,000 to work with me. They're like upselling themselves. I know your offer is $30,000, Sarah, but I want to hire you for the whole year. Here's $60,000. I'm so excited to pay you. And they send me pictures of themselves wiring me $60,000 and they celebrate what that means to them because it's not about me, it's about them. When they invest in themselves, they are proving their belief in themselves. They are claiming that next identity. They are claiming that result. They're making a decision in that moment about what they want and they are giving it to themselves. So I obviously could record a whole podcast episode on this, but this is what we're going to be talking about in MMA because if you want to feel in control of turning on the money faucet, you have to sell with this level of conviction. And that comes from you being sold on your own offer and not being afraid to talk about it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm going to help you get into that energy to where you believe it, where it's authentic, and where you feel like your job is to just go around inviting people to the hottest party in town, and you're completely detached from who comes and who doesn't. You know the party's going to be amazing no matter what. And when you sell with that kind of energy, you become magnetic. It becomes a no-brainer. People will be running to you with their wallets, so excited for the opportunity to pay you. And it's going to up-level your mentorship once they are your paid clients. So not only is this going to help you make more money, it's going to help you be a better mentor. So this is what awaits you inside MMA. Get yourself inside, get yourself a ticket, because you will forever be altered in how you see selling, your relationship with selling, because we both know that you are a phenomenal mentor and your clients get life-changing results, but you have these hangups around selling and marketing. You think that you're not good at that, or you think that it's pushy, or you don't want to use bro sales tactics. You feel needy and graspy. It feels somehow unethical because it's connected to money. There's just like some ick around it still for you. We're going to clean all of that up inside MMA so that selling feels so good to you and to your buyers. So let me tell you what happened to me this weekend. And this is such an example of manifestation and of making your results absolutely inevitable when you are delusional enough to believe they are already true in your head first. So if you've been following me for even 5 minutes, you know that I want to be famous. I have always wanted to be famous. I've always known that I was meant to be famous. One of my earliest memories was being up on stage at a ballet recital, and I just knew in that moment, like, this is for me. I loved the attention. I loved making people happy. And for a long time, I loved entertaining people. And for a long time, I thought that I was going to be famous for being a dancer. After puberty, my dance teacher was like, no, that's never going to happen. You are not going to be a professional ballerina. I was devastated. So I kind of gave up around 13, 14, my dream of dancing. And I went to college, fell in love with the restaurant business. There was something about waiting tables and bartending where that satisfied that part of me that felt like I was on stage, that I was entertaining people. And I loved it. I loved being on my feet all the time. I loved that the environment was constantly changing. I got to meet a whole bunch of new people. So it kind of satisfied that part of myself for a while. So all throughout my 20s, I thought that I was going to open my own restaurant. And I loved that experience, but it definitely was a much smaller world than I had anticipated for myself. And as I approached 30, I started to get tired, and I was like, I don't know that I want to do this anymore. The late nights, I was drinking a lot, and that didn't feel good. So I decided I didn't want to be in the restaurant business anymore. And instead, I got married and started having babies immediately. I had 2 kids and became a stay-at-home mom, started homeschooling my kids. And I did that for a few years. And that time of being married and having 2 kids within 3.5 years was very confusing to me, because although I was happy to have my children and to be with them, I also felt confused about this other part of myself that knew she was meant to be wealthy and famous. Like, was I wrong about myself all along? And why had that desire been in me from as long as I could remember if I wasn't meant to have that life? It was very confusing. There was a lot of cognitive dissonance. Like, how did I get so far away from what I envisioned for my life? And there was this real sense of resignation. Like, I guess I just was wrong about myself. And I guess my life was supposed to go a very different way. And then one day, I realized it wasn't actually a realization in my head. It was a realization in my body. My body was just like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot be in this marriage. That's a story for another time. But my body slammed on the brakes and said, you are not doing this anymore. So I got a divorce. I went back to waiting tables when the kids were at their dad's house 2 days a week. And then the other 5 days a week, I was home with them and homeschooling them. And then the pandemic shut the world down. And I, at the same time, was obviously laid off from my restaurant job. And I hired a life coach. I had never really heard of life coaching, but I had made a friend who was also going through a divorce. And she's like, I just hired a life coach, and it's pretty amazing. I had a therapist at the time who was life-changing. We did really great work together. But all these things kind of happened at once. My therapist was leaving the practice and moving across the country. And so I wasn't able to see her anymore. And she said, "Do you want to see the new therapist at the practice?" And I said, "No." So I was kind of like without that level of support. Meanwhile, the world is getting shut down for the pandemic. Meanwhile, my friend is telling me about life coaching. So I start researching life coaching. And in fact, the first time I heard that, I was like, I don't know what a life coach is, but I want one. I just knew. I was like, there's something inside of me. It was like, yes. So I went out and I hired a life coach. And my world turned upside down from this experience. The things that I learned from my first mentor blew my ever-loving mind. And I started applying what I was learning to my life, and I could not believe the results. And I was talking about it so much to anyone who would listen because my mind was so blown that one day my mom was like, "You should be a life coach, Sarah." And I was like, "I don't think so. That sounds really scary, and I don't have a certification. I don't have money for a certification." But she planted a seed in me that day. Fast forward a couple months and I was like, you know what? I should be a life coach. So I picked up my phone, picked up my Instagram account, which had maybe like 5 posts on it with like, this is back in 2019. So they were still like heavily filtered. I was posting like a real millennial, and I had a couple friends and family members that were following me and had posted a couple of outfit of the day photos. And I started documenting my journey and I started sharing and I started teaching, and it was terrifying, but I was like, this has changed my life so much. It felt selfish to keep it to myself. I'm like, I have to tell people that this exists. It was like that moment where you're like looking around, like, does anyone else know about this? Like, why are we not all talking about these tools and what is possible for us? Like, I felt like I had been in a prison of my own making my entire life, and I had just found the keys to release myself from prison. So I start creating content, and then in January of 2021, I start making offers and got 2 yeses right away. Then nothing but no's for 5 months. It was like up and down roller coaster, which it has continued to be until this present day that we are in, June 10th, the year of our Lord 2025. It has always been an up and down roller coaster ride, but it has been the ride of my life. And there was one day, several months into this journey of starting my life coaching business, where I had this moment of, my God, this is it. This is what I'm meant to be rich and famous for. Like, this is how people are going to know my name. At first, I thought it was for dancing. Then I thought it was for the restaurant business. Then I thought I was wrong about myself all along. And this is now going to be it. And I remember standing in my kitchen of my little apartment, my first apartment that I got post-divorce. And I was like, oh my God, I wasn't wrong about myself. I just was wrong about the timeline and was wrong about the how. And even to this day, like, I still don't fully know exactly what the end of the story is going to be or how the story is going to continue to unfold. But I had this realization, oh no, you were not wrong about yourself. You just didn't know the how, and you're not supposed to know the how. How is only a question that we can answer after the fact. We can answer it after the story has unfolded. This is how I did it, not this is how I'm going to do it. We do make decisions and we take aligned action, we make plans, but your business or anything you want to manifest, any result, any extraordinary result that you want to create in your life is a co-creation with the universe. So you only have control over your part of it. And there are so many surprises and curveballs that will be thrown at you along the way, and that's okay. But you are not wrong about yourself. So let me tell you what happened this weekend, because I was not wrong about myself, that I was meant to be famous and that I was meant to be wealthy. And I see evidence of these things coming true all of the time. And I just keep collecting evidence, and the evidence just keeps getting bigger and more frequent. And it is very fun to watch all of these wins come in. And you have to look for them, right? Because your brain is not automatically going to look for them. So this is another thing we're going to work on inside MMA, is looking for evidence. We are going to heavily focus on celebration and showing your brain that things are working. If you love listening to Latin music, I've been listening to a lot of Latin music as I've gotten into Latin dancing. If you love listening to Latin music and you're driving your car and you want to listen to it, you have to turn the radio dial to the station that plays Latin music. You can't just be in your car and be like, no one's playing this kind of music and why not, and lament and be sad that you can't hear it. You have to turn the radio dial to the right station. So if you want to make $1 million, if you want to be famous, if you want to have 100,000 followers on TikTok and be the go-to expert in your niche and have global impact and change people's lives, you have to turn your inner radio dial to that frequency that you already are that person. You can't wait for it to happen first in order to believe it or in order to claim that identity. So I am delusional enough, and this is partially my personality, but let's say 10% my personality, but 90% a decision, that I just decide first in my head that I am famous. I've been doing this from the beginning of my coaching business. I made multiple six figures. I think I made $200,000 or maybe even $300,000 cash before I got certified as a life coach. I remember standing in my bedroom, looking into my oval white mirror on my bureau and saying, you are a life coach as of today. I am declaring you. It's like I anointed my own damn self. I was like, you are a life coach. I didn't wait to get a certification. I didn't wait for anyone to give me a permission. I just took on that identity inside my head. And then I started taking aligned action. So after that day, when I went out into the world and people are like, who are you? What do you do? I would say, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a life coach. Cashiers, people that were helping me size my kids for shoes. Like, it doesn't matter who I was talking to, where I was when I went to get buy face wash at the spa. People would be like, who are you? You have this really incredible energy. I'd be like, I'm Sarah. I'm a life coach. Literally just decided and then took aligned action. I took on that identity in my brain first, and then it became true in the external world. I actually became a life coach, and then I became a paid life coach. And this is true, and this works for any result that you want to create. So one of the things that I'm manifesting right now is fame. I want to be famous. I want people to recognize my face, recognize my name. And there are lots of reasons that I want this, but I am not ashamed to tell you that one of them is just because I like attention, just because it sounds like fun. So often when I help women say what it is they want out loud, especially when it comes to things that sound kind of selfish, they have to put a little asterisk next to it and say, well, I want to be famous because I want to help people. Well, I want to make a lot of money because I want to help people. All of that is true. All of that is true, my friends. I am doing this because I want to help people. I have such a big heart. And one of the things that I love most about myself is how much I love people and I love helping people. I am such a nurturer. I am a Cancer. Part of the reason I was put on this earth was to take care of other people and to make them feel better in whatever way that I can. That is all true. It is also true that I love being the center of attention. I get energy. My light shines even brighter when people are looking at me. It also just sounds so fun to me. It sounds so fun to me that, in fact, my last branding photo shoot, I hired extras to come stage this paparazzi shoot. I wanted to have the photos, but I also just wanted to have the experience of being out on the streets of Philadelphia on a rush hour on a Friday night, me getting out of a black car with my security guard trying to protect me from the paparazzi. I wanted to have that experience, and it happened. I had people walking by watching this whole scene unfold being like, who is that? They were asking my photographer, who is that? They really thought that I was someone famous because I showed up like that first, because in my head, I am a celebrity. Many of you also know that exactly 2 years ago, I experienced major online trolling for the first time. So my business was 2 years old at that point, and then I experienced this trolling, and healing from that trigger that shook me to my core has taken 2 full years. And I can tell you, I fully emerged from the cocoon that I needed to go into after that event 2 years ago, just this past week. And the way that I know is some things that happened to me physically with my body, but also because I have been doing things that have been allowing me much more visibility. For the past 2 years, I've still been putting myself out there, but in smaller ways, in places where I felt really safe. Instagram is one of those places. I feel really safe on Instagram. My following has hovered around, 1,500 to 2,000 followers for the past 2 years. It felt like a safe, controlled environment. And I've had this nudge to start creating on other platforms like YouTube, TikTok, but I wasn't letting myself because I knew that when I started doing that, I was going to pop off. I knew that my success was inevitable if I started putting myself out there in a bigger way, but I was afraid. I was afraid of that visibility. I was afraid of that success because of the pain that I had experienced with the online trolling 2 years ago. So I've been healing and stretching my nervous system for the past 2 years to be able to hold massive amounts of attention. And I felt this rebirth, this emergence from the cocoon, this quantum leap happen last week. And along with that came some changed action, including posting on TikTok. And now it's like I can't turn off the floodgates. Yesterday, I made 9 TikToks in one day, and I hadn't planned any of them out. That wasn't my intention. I just had an idea, and I was like, I should go share this with my adoring fans on TikTok. And I went and created a video, and that happened 9 times yesterday. So I feel different, and I'm showing up differently compared to the last 2 years. So I'm noticing all of this happen. And on Friday night, I record a TikTok about manifesting fame, much like this message that I'm sharing with you today on this podcast. I go onto TikTok and I say, I've manifested $1 million business. One of the things I'm manifesting now in a very deliberate way is fame. I want a lot of people to know who I am. And so I created this TikTok and go to bed. And in the TikTok, I was like, maybe this TikTok is going to be the thing that pops up. I don't know what's going to happen now. All I know is that I'm deciding, I'm putting that intention out there. And because I believe it so much in my head, I am so delusional and already famous in my head, I know that reality is going to manifest in the 3D world. I know it's done. I don't have the level of attention yet in the physical world. I don't have the level of fame yet, but I know that it's coming. I don't doubt that it's coming. It's just a matter of when. And honestly, I don't care about when. I'm so detached from the timeline. But because I believe it so much in my head, I know it's done. So that was Friday night. Saturday, midday, not 12 hours later, I had just finished my ballet class that I go to every weekend. I'm in my leotard, my ballet core outfit, and I walk from class to get a cup of coffee. And along the way is a bar that I pass every weekend after my class. Their doors were all open and they had a TV facing the sidewalk and they were playing the men's final tennis match for the French Open. So I stopped and I watched a few moments of tennis, and these 2 girls, shout out to Naomi and Amanda, come running out of the bar and they're like, hello, it's you. And I just looked at them like, yeah, it's me. Hi. And they said, we watch you every week and we think you are so fabulous. You always look so amazing. Honestly, I can't remember beyond that exactly what they said because I was having such an out-of-body experience. What I was thinking in that moment was, oh my God, it's happening. I was literally just talking about becoming famous last night and how much I believe it and how much I already am in my own head. And the universe is already sending me evidence that it's true. And what specifically felt different about this moment compared to other moments that I've experienced was that these 2 girls knew me. It wasn't their first time seeing me. They didn't know my name. They didn't know who I was, but they knew of me. They knew my face. They looked out for me and they recognized me. And I get people complimenting me and stopping me all of the time because I carry myself with this really magnetic energy and I dress in a very striking way and in a way that a lot of people walking the streets of Philadelphia don't dress. So this is not unusual that I have people stop and talk to me or comment about me or compliment me as I'm walking by. But this felt different because they knew who I was. They recognized me. So I'm having this out of body experience like, oh my God, it's happening. But I didn't want to miss it. So I took a deep breath and I slowed myself down and I was like, Sarah, we're not going to leave your body right now. We're going to ground yourself. We're going to enjoy this moment and we're going to be really present and connected with yourself and with these 2 girls. And I looked them both in their eye and I said, I'm Sarah. It's so nice to meet you. What's your name? And I connected with each of them as they told me their names. And they both had their phones in their hand. And the one girl was doing most of the talking, but then I looked at the other girl and she said, we love you. We love you. And okay, breathe. That was such a healing moment for me because after the trolling 2 years ago, my brain started to tell myself over and over again, like, people don't love you. People hate you. People are like looking at you, taking up space, and you're giving them the ick. And I really questioned this belief that I had before that people just loved me. When I show up into myself, people love me. And I really started to question that. It shook me to my core. It shook the foundation of that belief that people love me. Having this stranger who just knew me from like walking by look at me and say, "We love you," just for me going about my business, showing up, being me, not trying to be anything else or look any other way, just me walking through the world authentically, was one of the most healing and beautiful moments of the past 4 years. So girls, if you're listening to this, thank you so much. And I love you too. And they came running out. They both had their phones in their hands and they're like, "Can we follow you on Instagram?" So I connected with both of them on Instagram and I wished them a beautiful day. We said goodbye and I went off and I had a really good cry. And I'm sharing this story with you today. Kind of feels like a victory lap for me, like a celebration of like, whew, I made it through 2 years of really hard times and doubt and fear and the cognitive dissonance that comes from not living up to what you know you're meant for. I know what I'm meant for and I couldn't give it to myself fully over the last 2 years, and that's okay. I needed that time to grow and to heal and to expand my capacity to hold what I am now ready for. So I'm not mad about it. I'm not sad about it. I love my story and I'm also so glad that I'm here. I share this story with you too so that you see that anything that you want is yours for the taking. And it just starts with a decision that it's done, a decision to not wait for external evidence, a decision to trust the process of manifestation, which is you believe it first in your own head and then reality will catch up. And that process is inevitable if you believe it first. And actually, you don't even need to fully believe in yourself. You can just believe in the process. You can believe like my brain is a computer. Whatever I put in is what it's going to spit out. So I put into my brain, I'm famous. And that's what the brain is going to spit out. That is what is going to be projected onto the real world and then reflected back to me. And now I have this story as further evidence. So do you see this beautiful feedback loop that I've created for myself? I believe it first in my head, then it manifests in the real world. Then I see that evidence of it happening in the real world, and I use that evidence to reinforce my self-identity. So we use what happens externally to validate ourselves, but that's not the starting point. We don't rely on those things. And you have to do the work of looking for evidence because that whole situation could have happened and I could have missed it or also diminished it, which is what I see a lot of people do. A lot of people have so much evidence around them that what they want is working, what they want actually already exists, but they're diminishing it. They're not letting themselves see it. So you also have to sharpen that skill. All of these things are what we're working on inside of Money Mode Activated. And I want to say to anyone who's listening to this who is not an online coach, or maybe you're thinking about starting a business, maybe that's a dream of yours, but even if you are not an online coach, but you know that you are meant for more than what you're currently creating, you are invited to come to this party. No matter what it is that you want to manifest in your life, the extraordinary, delusional, crazy result, crazy thing, crazy dream that you have, I can help you create that result. And you will be forever altered, expanded, and have so much fun inside this experience. And did I mention it's only $15? Like there's no excuse. I have taken away all of your excuses. So if you are listening to this and you don't join, the only reason, unless you're just like, I can't stand Sarah and her vibe, which again is fine. The only reason that you're not joining is because you are afraid of your own success. You don't actually want to see how good it can get. And the only reason that's true is because our brains are wired to protect us from change. We are afraid of the unknown. And if you've never made $1 million, if you've never met the love of your life, if you've never started the business, whatever it is you want to manifest, if that's foreign to you, if that's new to you, your body can perceive that as danger. So let me help you not be afraid of your own success because that's the only thing that's going to stop you. So if you are afraid, That's okay. I want you to love on that part of yourself, but I want you to get your wallet out. I want you to get your card out, and I want you to invest this $15 and say, I am willing to bet on myself. I'm going to take this $15 like we're going to the casino, except for the odds are always in your favor because you are your safest bet. And I want you to put that $15 on yourself, babe. You are the safest bet that you could possibly make. And you are going to blow your mind with what happens when you decide to believe that's true and take action from that place. All right? So you know what to do. I'll see you inside MMA. I love you so much. Let's fucking go, icons.